Mm-hmm. 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 Come on. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The fork and flip piece took me by complete surprise, I suppose because my own entry point to the symbolism was quite shallow. I just, to begin with, thought of the bull as something to be associated with the animalistic and perhaps the negative side of capitalism, and people jumping from buildings when their investments had tanked and that kind of thing. And I was about to be revealed just how much more there is to these two opposing forces of the bull and the bear.
The bull was a Christmas gift to the people of New York City after the 1987 stock market crash. Arturo claims the New York Stock Exchange wanted a bear, too, but that wasn't in the cards.
Oh, look, an eagle!
It takes place in August of 2017 when I made this, and it was the first fork of Bitcoin. It was splitting to Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, and the flippening was being discussed as perhaps Ethereum was going to be taking over as the major market cap.
Every second of your life, you are under attack. Billions of bacteria, viruses, and fungi are trying to make you their home. So our bodies have developed a super complex little army with guards, soldiers, intelligence, weapons factories, and communicators to protect you from, well, dying.
The story is not much of a story if you don't have a worthy adversary, and sometimes that adversary is yourself. It forced me to really start to meditate on my own nature of how competitive or collaborative I am.
So she gives a rock to us, that's the task, and we give her a piece of cucumber and she eats it. The other one needs to give a rock to us, and that's what she does. And she gets a grape. And she eats it. The other one sees that. She gives a rock to us now, gets again cucumber.
Another thing, of course, in contemporary discussions is that whether we are just a product of societal conditioning or do our genes play a part in, and perhaps the millions of years of evolution and genetic memory that we have within us. And so it's that erupting volcano or the ice avalanche, it's the tiger wrestling with the alligator.
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed.
So what do you do?
That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore. So what a responsibility you all have.
Even with well-established companies, the fact-checking machinery that we used to take for granted were a part of many big media operations simply aren't there anymore due to the rise of the internet, as the news business suffered a similar kind of decline in their profits as the music industry.
That means newsrooms have had to reduce their staff to their lowest number in 35 years. And what that means for all of us is that there are less reporters. Now, for every dollar that we gain on the digital platform, we lose $7 in print media. So we don't see the situation getting better.
The balance of life is that if you look at the right or the left side in politics, they tend to both talk very highly of themselves and of course take the worst examples of the other side when they compete for the power positions. You could also of course see it as capitalism and communism competing as ideas, and in that battleground, of course, during the last century, we already have 100 million dead.
Initially, when communists come to power, and that doesn't matter where, let it be in Russia, in Poland, in Cuba, in Nicaragua, it doesn't matter, in China, initially they destroy about 10% of population, and that's very specific. This is used not just to kill enemies, they're not enemies, it's to restructure the fabric of society. It's a social engineering. Top intellectuals, best workers, best engineers, they would kill them all. And then they will try to restructure the new society.
Our hierarchies of competence are reasonably functional. And not only are they functional, they're valuable. We need to know who the competent people are, and we need to reward them. And even more importantly, we need to tell young people, hey, there's some hierarchies of competence out there. Like 1,000 of them. Go be a plumber, man. But be a good one, you know? Be an honest one. I had a plumber once, you know?
Because we're here for such a short while, and we want to make a difference, and we want to be significant, we fail to see often the bigger picture of what is going on. And when we make an alteration to one thing, we can't really easily see just how many other things we're affecting at the same time.
People are very confused. They call the stuff in their wallet money. They call the stuff in the bank account money, and it isn't. It's all debt-based. It's all owed back plus interest. Money is not debt, and people have to start learning the difference.
So of course in capitalism, the consumerism, the plastic oceans and things like that, they're not necessarily the best that we can come up with, but neither are the let's make everyone absolutely equal and the same, because that doesn't work either. So it's somewhere in between. This is incentive, I suppose, and we're all motivated by different things, and we value different things.
If you put young hominids together in a social environment, they invent currencies. They do this all the time, even before cryptocurrencies. If you see a primary school, they trade rubber bands, they trade lollipops, they create currencies of value within this small, isolated society. When the Livestrong rubber bands came out and people started promoting various charities with these rubber bands, they became tradable commodities in primary schools. And primary schools have been doing this for years. Tamagotchi, Pokemon cards, baseball cards, even before that, marbles, and in my father's time, chestnuts.
We haven't really arrived at a system yet that is aligned with all the incentives of value that human beings contribute to our surroundings. And at best, for me, what this piece does, it forces me to contemplate what the next bricks are to lay on the ground in order for us to start arriving towards a system that is neither called capitalism or communism.
The blockchain technology is the enduring gift of Satoshi Nakamoto, and that will radically transform our world for decades to come. I think there's no doubt in my mind that currencies based on blockchain technology, as well as a myriad of other applications based on the ability to do decentralized trust at scale, will transform many aspects of the internet, many aspects of social interactions, finance, law, accounting, and society in general in ways that we can't even imagine yet. For the first time in history, we have the ability to do decentralized trust at scale across distances between individuals who have never met before. That is radical, and it has implications we can't even imagine. Now, out of that, many currencies will evolve. I think Bitcoin is probably going to stick around for a very long time, and I think that's because the early network effect has generated enough momentum that any of the problems will be fixed. And all of the arguments I hear about why Bitcoin will fail seem eerily reminiscent of 1992 on the internet, and how it couldn't do voice, it couldn't do video, it couldn't scale, it wouldn't work, it couldn't deliver quality. And it did, and it did.
To be continued in the News BTC article, and also check out art4crypto.com.